from there, you end up writing one of the early pieces on Bitcoin, like you mentioned. And at this point, you're at Newsweek. Tell us a little bit about that story and kind of the search for Satoshi.
Yeah, so when Newsweek relaunched, and I was I think one of the first writers they hired, and I grew up reading Newsweek and loved it, so I was extremely game to help with the relaunch. We had already been writing a lot of articles online, but this was the big relaunch in print. And one of my editors, I've never told this story, but one of my editors sent me an email. He was a playful British guy, still a wonderful dear friend and one of my favorite editors. He was a real hard ass, he didn't give you an inch, but once you proved yourself, he was great. And he sent me a note and said, I've been looking at this Bitcoin, and this was around 2013. He sent me a note. He said, I've been looking at this Bitcoin, and would you look into these Bitcoin women? And I wrote back and said, Bitcoin women? And he wrote, well, I don't know, but that Bitcoin is trouble, and wherever there's trouble, there's women. Yeah, there's a lot of sexist jokes in the newsroom. It's just part of life. So I said, oh yeah, let me go check it out. But the more I looked at it, the more I realized this is phenomenal. And how would somebody even begin to create a code that could act as currency and somehow get the rest of the world to actually exchange cash for it? Imagine yourself going into a room with your smartest friends and saying, hey, how about y'all give me some cash for this code that I'm writing? They'd laugh you out of the room, even if you were brilliant, right? So my big question was, how did it really get off the ground? Who was behind it? There seemed to be some people who knew more things than others. And it was not a bad thing that Gavin Andresen, who was the chief scientist at the time, he lived just a couple towns over from my home in Vermont. So it was easy to pop over there and just try to get a lay of the land from him to start with. And really, I just wanted to talk to, it was early days. It still hadn't exploded yet. And you could still go and talk to like the top 10 people who had emailed with Satoshi, right? Who had talked to him a lot and had very strong opinions on who this person was. And my first thought was, let's create a profile based on what all these people say and agree on, and then take it from there to see what we can find in the world that fits what they directly experienced.